My name is Choden, and as you can see, I'm a monk in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and I also teach for the Mindfulness Association, which is an application of secular mindfulness, compassion, insight. So although I'm in my Buddhist outfit, I'll be doing a secular presentation today. So I'm aware I've only got 30 minutes, and actually the topic of insight is quite subtle, quite refined, so I'll try to sort of get to the main point quite quickly. And I think maybe the main point I want to get across is that mindfulness is very important, but it's not enough. It's the first step, okay? So, but it's an important first step. And I was actually thinking, my friend Susie from Psychology's magazine sitting there, once said to me when I met her at Samiling, where I live, that most people these days are in a state of overwhelm. And I think particularly in London, that's the case. I think overwhelm is a great word. You know, there's just external realities overwhelming, virtual realities overwhelming. I think our inner world is overwhelming, okay? So I think the skill of mindfulness, of settling, stabilizing our awareness, coming more into the body, working with the focal support to deal with the crazy monkey mind is so important, okay? But still, I think it's only the first step. And I think an important second step is compassion. And I think compassion is coming more and more into the secular domain. And I think there again, when we look at compassion, I think self-compassion is especially important, because what strikes me in this modern world is we give ourselves such a terribly hard time, you know, and I think the inner critic that we live with in our heads is often an inner tyrant, you know. And my one teacher, Rob Nan, said to me, if somebody else treated you the way your inner critic did, you would leave them after a few minutes, but you actually roll over and let the inner critic like stampede you, okay? So the self-compassion is, the compassion is number 2 step, especially self-compassion. I think the number 3 step is insight, and that's the focus of this talk. And I think what we really mean by insight here is it's a kind of understanding about oneself and one's own mind that's born out of our own experience. It's where you really know something and you know it to the core of your being, you know? And you just, and that knowing changes you, okay? That's the real meaning of insight. It's not an intellectual thing. It's like, I see this, I know it, and something even small but significant changes, okay? So that's what I'm kind of meaning in this sense by insight. Now, I think probably when we look at insight, we are getting insight, we are looking more at the thinker who has thoughts, the observer who observes. So the tricky thing about insight is you're learning to look at the looker or observe the observer or become aware of the thinker, okay? So insight requires a kind of shift to actually turn the focus on this mind in here, this me in here that's doing the thinking and the observing, okay? Because, and this isn't my own sort of like, I'm really drawing this on the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, which really says that the real change happens when you turn to look at the mind that looks. But obviously it's a bit tricky to do that because we think we are that mind, you know? So, and I think what we notice in the observer is that a sense of me is constantly popping up, okay? And this sense of me has a lot of likes and dislikes, which are quite subtle and refined, you know? And some of the likes and dislikes are external, you know, I like that person, I like this dish of food, I like this, I like that, okay? So part of the insight journey is actually just to be aware as you walk around that sense of me with like and dislike and how it's operating, because often we're under its spell, but when we actually bring in the awareness to it, we just sort of have this sense of, oh yeah, that's interesting, that's how I'm operating, you know? And then also this sense of me with like and dislike is operating internally. And that's where it gets tricky, because often we think, I don't like that feeling, I'd rather have a different kind of feeling, you know? Do any of you have that experience? I don't quite like how I'm feeling just now, okay? And it often comes into meditation where we think, I'm not sure about this meditation, you know. I know they say in meditation you shouldn't really have an agenda about how you feel, but I would like to feel quite spacious, open, etc., you know, because then I can get through my day better. So this sense of me with like and dislike is always operating, and the insight journey is how do we bring the awareness in to become aware of it, okay? And the other thing about this sense of me and the observer, it's a shapeshifter, okay? It's constantly changing. It's like there are many inner voices or parts. There's an angry part, and then the me becomes an angry me, or then there's a romantic part, and then I have romantic images, you know, which I project. Then there's an anxious me, and then it becomes like an anxious part. So it's constantly shape-shifting. But the thing about insight, it's saying, okay, see if you can bring awareness to this shape-shifting me with like and dislike. Because if you don't bring awareness to it, it's gonna just run your life, okay? It's gonna run your life according to the scripts that are in you, the conditioning. So it's gonna run your life, and you might not like where your life runs. So how about paying a close attention? But we do that with a kindness, okay? So that's important as well. We bring a kindness to this me, but we really look at it very closely. So that's kind of where the insight journey goes. Now, the important thing is, how do we do this? Okay, it's fine to talk about it, but how do we actually do it? And I think it's important to make a distinction between what is observed and the observer, okay? There's thoughts and a thinker. We always have this going on, you know, I'm here observing feelings there. I'm sitting here feeling slightly edgy because this is not my normal comfort zone, aware of you there, okay? This is always operating observer and observed. So we work within that. The first step in mindfulness is we see if we can settle the observe part down. So in our mind, we have lots of thoughts coming up. So is there a way we can begin to settle all the thoughts so we're not jumping onto them and they're taking us away? Okay, so we begin to settle the thoughts. Then I think what's very important is acceptance. Can we actually accept these thoughts and feelings that are showing up? Okay, that's still within the observe part, okay? Observer, observed, okay? Mindfulness, acceptance. Can we come into a non-fighting relationship with what pops up in our mind? And this is a big one, okay? A non-fighting relationship where I can begin to make space for all these different kinds of guests that show up. Anxious thoughts, romantic thoughts, angry thoughts, okay? Okay, so that's important. Then I think what enables the shift to insight, to the observer, observed observer, is the kindness to self, okay? Where we actually really bring a kindness, thinking, wow, it's not easy being me. It's not easy being me with this shape-shifting, different eyes popping up, anxious eye, angry eye, etc. Can I bring a bit of kindness to this me in here who struggles, okay? Even if the Buddhists say it's an illusory me, I still experience it as me, okay? So the kindness is now bringing us closer to the observer, okay? Okay, so then what we do next is, once we have those foundations, mindfulness, acceptance, self-compassion, we now start to really investigate what's really going on here. Is this sense of me really as solid and real as it purports to be, okay? And we don't do this intellectually, you've got to do this in real time and experience, where you start to get the look in that actually it's an ephemeral show going on in here. It's not solid, it feels solid, but when you look at it, it's not really that solid, okay? So we're starting to investigate what's showing up in the observer part. Am I making sense? Okay. I want to come to a practice, because you can only talk about this stuff for so long, and then it gets too intellectual, okay? So the stuff's got to be experiential. So we then investigate, and then at some point we just drop all methods and go off duty, stop, okay? The mindfulness part, the acceptance part, kindness, investigate. Okay, drop methods, just sit. We often use the image, sit like a fool. The fool's got no preconceived ideas, sitting here on the stage, feeling feelings, aware of sights, okay? Okay, so so I want to try this method out with you in the little time we got left. It's called on duty, off duty, okay? On duty includes the normal understanding we have of meditation. We work with the support like breathing. When our mind wanders off, we come back to support. We try to bring in a bit of acceptance there. Like, can I just sort of make space for all these thoughts that are popping up? Okay. Then I'm going to use a method called how do you feel about what you feel? Very simple, okay? We have all kinds of feelings. And we pose the question, how do I feel about what I'm feeling? When we pose that question, that brings the observer in. It says, I'm not sure. I like to be feeling a bit more calmer, more spacious, more in the zone, since I'm sitting here giving a talk on the stage, okay? So I'm just going to use that one method. How do I feel about what I feel? Bring a little bit of kindness. That's very important. Go off duty. But I'm going to guide you through this. So you don't need to remember it. But the key method here is we have an on-duty part, which is the normal meditation part, okay? Like, I'm sitting here, meditating, doing things, then I stop. Now I'm not meditating, okay? I'm just sitting, and I'll guide us through it, okay? I actually meant to bring a gong, but I mindlessly forgot. So you'll have to just go with my instructions. Got a gong? Ah, brilliant. Thank you. How kind of you. Just what I need. Thank you. Okay, so we'll try the on-duty, off-duty method, which is an inside method, okay? Okay, so we start with on-duty, which is just normal mindfulness. So bring attention to your body, sitting on the seat. See if you can feel both your feet flat on the floor. Feel your bum on the seat. So you get that sense of feeling grounded. And then bring attention to the breathing. So you're just aware of the breath moving in the body, wherever you connect to it most easily. So you're feeling the weight of your body on the seat. Notice how the ground holds your body. And then feeling the breath move in your body. How you inhabit a breathing body. So you might notice that there are a lot of thoughts in the mind. And see if you can just have a welcoming attitude to those thoughts. This is the acceptance part. We're not trying to shut them out. But every time you notice your mind getting involved in thought, just become aware of that. Bring the attention back to breathing. Breathing brings you back to the body. So this is classic mindfulness practice, using breathing as a focal support. But we also having that welcoming attitude where whatever shows up is okay. We're choosing not to fight with it. then noticing your general feeling state in this moment. Maybe your mood. So see if you can just become aware of your basic feeling state. It might be agitated, might be anxious, might be excitable. So we're tuning into what we feel. And now I just pose the question, how do I feel about what I'm feeling? How do I feel about what I'm feeling? This immediately brings my more into the observer part. So just notice what shows up when you drop that question in. It might be, oh, I wish I felt different. Wish I felt calmer. And just bringing awareness to that. I'll just drop the method, drop the meditation, just go off duty. Now off duty is you're sitting here, now your eyes are open. You can even look around the room. You hear sounds, see things, you're still feeling things, what you're feeling. But there's a sense now you're not trying to meditate. Just notice what off-duty feels like. How often in your life do you let yourself go off-duty, even from meditating? Okay, so coming back on duty again, so coming back to mindfulness of breathing, feeling the weight of your body on the seat, feeling the breathing in your body. So where's your attention now? If you notice you're involved in thinking, not judging that, just bringing the attention back to the breathing, brings you back to the body. Classic mindfulness. Now once again, noticing what your basic feeling state is. Your basic mood. How you are in this moment. Just tuning into that. Maybe connecting to how that feels in the body. Once again, pose the question, how do I feel about what I'm feeling? And just see what shows up. So we bring in our awareness more into the observer part. How do I feel about what I'm feeling? Okay, this time we're going to bring in self-compassion. So imagine now placing both hands on the heart and just feeling the warmth of the touch. Feeling the breathing in your body. And seeing if you can just bring a gesture of kindness to how you are in this moment. So we bring kindness to the whole show, what we're feeling, how we feel about what we're feeling. almost like you allow yourself to absorb the warmth that comes from the touch, from your hands, drawing that into you. Seeing if you can really allow yourself to receive some kindness from yourself. Once again, going off duty. Okay, so now we've dropped all methods, but we're still sitting here. Your eyes are closed before, now they're open. It's a bit like downtime, chill time. We're still seeing, we're still hearing, we're still feeling things. You're also allowed to look around the room. You're not worrying about thoughts because on duty will take care of that. Just notice how off duty feels. What's it like to give myself a break and go off duty, not even having to try to meditate? Okay, so that's like a very brief taste of an insight method. So what's going on here? Okay, normally mindfulness is about upfront, thoughts, feelings, emotions. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going up front, we're getting a sense thought, feelings, emotions are constantly changing, okay? And if we accept them, they will just move on. But often we fight with them and then they don't move on, they stay, okay? So we're up front and then we bring the awareness towards the observer part, the me in your look-in, and we start to get a feeling that it's a shapeshifter, okay? It's constantly changing, okay? So there, not solid, ephemeral, here, not that solid. If we can actually look at it, it's not that solid until we get involved, then it's solid, okay? So we just, through the different methods, we are bringing the awareness to the observer part, then we bring kindness to the whole show. This is the whole show of me, okay? I'm caught in this false duality of thinker and thoughts, observer and observed. I explore it, but then I bring kindness to the whole show. If one thing's going to change one, it's the kindness. This is the poor me going around life with all these different parts popping up, okay? And then I go off duty, okay? Drop the methods, just sit. Okay, my job's over. Okay, so normally the insight approach is done in a very exploratory way. So we now explore like 5 minutes, okay? I've got 5 minutes. Any comments? What did it like to go off duty when you did all of that? Anyone want to sort of...
Very relaxing. Good.
Very relaxing. Did it feel different to on duty? Totally. So interesting, on duty is meditating, now off duty is not meditating, but off duty felt very relaxing, okay?
But then when we went back to meditating, it was a much better meditation.
That's it, okay? So what we're trying to do now is, by going on duty, off duty, we're affecting on duty by going off duty, okay? I don't know why I didn't realize this a long time ago, but I read in the Tibetan Buddhist manual, you should only meditate for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes at a time, then stop. Then meditate, then stop, then meditate. I don't know why, this hasn't really come into sort of the secular world, I don't know too much, but they say that you got to like do it like that, back, forth, back, forth. Any other, what did you notice?
Very similar, it was a very good meditation the second time.
When you were off duty?
Yeah, off duty, when I went back on duty,
Okay.
it was much calmer, there wasn't so much going on.
So that's something to take away, okay? So what we're doing here is we're going with the focused attention, open awareness. Focused attention, open awareness. Normally they're meant to be integrated, but in the beginning it can be useful to do the one, then the other, the one, then the other. Then they find their own integration as you are discovering. I think I've got about 2 minutes, so if anybody has any other... Yeah.
I found that when I went into the second one, the kindness one, something came into my mind that I felt shame and badness about. It's just happened.
To say that again, I didn't get you.
Something came into my mind that I felt shame and badness about. So I started thinking about something that had happened.
Okay.
And I had that feeling.
In the second part, the off-duty part.
When you went to the kindness to yourself,
Yeah.
meditating again. So then my thinking brain is right, be kind, and I'm thinking my way into that, and it was the stopping that was really valuable. So the off-duty really helped me just drop the story.
Yeah, that's it. So we investigate and then we drop the story, okay? So we're shifting modalities a lot with this, you know, mindfulness, investigate, kindness, drop, you know. So the insight happens through the shifting modalities. Instead of just sitting here and meditating for 45 minutes, but most of the time I might be spacing out, etc. Okay. Anyway, I think time is probably running out. I'm getting the message. So I hope that was helpful. It's very brief. But if any of you are interested in pursuing this more, we've actually written a book called From Mindfulness to Insight that I'm hoping Susie's going to review. She's promised me. And we have at the stall some kind of little postcards. So if you'd like to take that further, and also the Mindfulness Association runs mindfulness, compassion, insight kind of workshops. So, thank you.
Thank you.